Gender bias. It's like that annoying fly buzzing around your head. You swat at it, but it keeps coming back. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's subtle, but it's always there. We're going to take a look at gender bias today through a few everyday scenarios. We'll see how it plays out in the workplace, at home, and even in the way we talk to each other. Think of this as a little play, with some familiar characters and situations. We'll see how stereotypes, unconscious biases, and even the words we use can perpetuate gender inequality. We'll laugh a little, maybe cringe a little, but most importantly, we'll learn a little. The goal isn't to point fingers or make anyone feel bad. It's about opening our eyes to the ways bias sneaks into our lives. It's about understanding how even small actions can have a big impact. And most of all, it's about figuring out how we can do better. So grab your popcorn, find a comfy seat, and get ready for the show. We're about to pull back the curtain on gender bias and see how it affects us all. Let's start the show. Meet Sarah and Mark, two talented marketing executives vying for the same promotion to senior manager. Sarah is a detail-oriented strategist, known for her innovative campaigns. Mark is charismatic and outgoing, often leading team-building activities. They both have similar experience and qualifications. The scene unfolds in the office of their boss, Mr. Thompson, a man with old-fashioned views on leadership. The office is sterile, with framed motivational posters and a large mahogany desk.
Sarah, you've done excellent work. However, this leadership role requires someone assertive, a real go-getter.
He turns to Mark.
Mark, you have that natural leadership quality we're looking for. Congratulations on the promotion.
With respect, sir, my campaigns have consistently outperformed expectations. Assertiveness isn't the only marker of leadership. Strategic thinking and innovation are equally crucial, and I've demonstrated both.
Mr. Thompson, taken aback by Sarah's directness and data-driven argument, reconsiders. He realizes his bias towards Mark's more traditionally masculine leadership style. He decides to implement a more objective evaluation process based on performance metrics, not perceived personality traits. Ultimately, Sarah earns the promotion based on her merit. This scenario highlights how stereotypes about leadership can hinder women's career advancement. Assertiveness is often associated with men, while women are sometimes penalized for displaying the same trait, being labeled as aggressive. This bias limits opportunities for qualified women. Meet Annika, a highly qualified software engineer with a diverse background, and Mr. Jones, the hiring manager. Mr. Jones is a middle-aged white man who unconsciously favors candidates similar to himself. The scene takes place in a stark, modern office, the setting for Annika's job interview. The room is minimalist, with a large glass table and sleek chairs.
So, Annika, tell me about your cultural fit. Can you handle the fast-paced, demanding environment?
He spends more time discussing his golf game than her technical skills.
Actually, I've thrived in similar environments before. Let me share some specific examples of my problem-solving abilities. I'm passionate about technology and deeply committed to the company's mission.
Impressed by Annika's composure and clear qualifications, Mr. Jones begins to see beyond his initial assumptions. The company implements blind resume screening to remove identifying information that could trigger unconscious bias. This leads to a more diverse pool of candidates being considered, and Annika secures the position. This scenario demonstrates how unconscious bias can creep into the hiring process. Assumptions about cultural fit often disadvantage candidates from diverse backgrounds, perpetuating homogeneity in the workplace.
It's not fair, David. I work just as much as you, yet I'm always the one stuck with the chores. I feel like I'm working two jobs.
David, engrossed in a sports game, barely looks up.
I'll get to it later.
Maria sits down with David and calmly explains how the unequal division of labor is affecting her. They create a chore chart, dividing tasks fairly based on their schedules and preferences. They also decide to outsource some tasks, like cleaning, to free up time for both of them. They realize that sharing responsibility benefits them both, creating a more harmonious and less stressful home environment. David starts actively participating in household chores, acknowledging his previous neglect. This leads to a more equitable and fulfilling partnership. This scene highlights the common issue of unequal distribution of household chores, often falling disproportionately on women. This imbalance creates resentment and reinforces traditional gender roles.
It's interesting how you described her as bossy and him as assertive, even though they exhibited similar behavior. It's subtle, but those words carry different connotations.
Tom, initially defensive, pauses to consider Lisa's point. He realizes how language can subtly reinforce gender stereotypes. He apologizes and commits to being more mindful of his word choices in the future. Alex, having observed the exchange, also becomes more aware of their own language. The group engages in a discussion about gendered language and its impact. This scene illustrates how language can perpetuate gender bias. Words like bossy are often used to describe women in leadership positions, carrying negative connotations, while men exhibiting the same behavior are described with more positive terms like assertive. These scenarios, though fictional, reflect the very real challenges of gender bias. From the workplace to the home, these biases shape our perceptions and limit opportunities. But as we've seen, change is possible. By recognizing our biases, challenging stereotypes, and promoting open dialogue, we can create a more equitable world. It's about understanding that equality benefits everyone, not just women. It's about creating a society where everyone has the chance to reach their full potential, regardless of gender. It's not about tearing anyone down, it's about lifting everyone up. So, let's take a bow and give a standing ovation to the possibility of change. It's a journey, not a destination. But every step we take towards equality is a step towards a better future. The show must go on.